so low. Only a cat of a different code. That's all the truth I know. Yeah, I love the Reigns of Castamere. It's weird, the Baratheon loyalist I am, but either way. Welcome back, everyone, to the Bucket Think Tank, another round of comic chat. And so, our Funko of the day, or Funko of the video, because, look, did you guys like the Funko thing? Let me know. So, our Funko of the day sort of fits the combination of what got stuck in my head, the Reigns of Castamere, and the fact that I'm doing an 11th Doctor rewatch. We're going to go to House of the Dragon. Daemon Targaryen. Love it. Love it. I like House of the Dragon. I do. I was totally on board with Matt Smith playing Daemon, just because I trust Matt Smith. Pretty much it. And I think he killed it. But anyway, our first book of the day is none other than Superman issue 6. Where's the keyboard? Our book today is Superman issue 6 by Joshua Williamson, and The Chained Part 1 begins. So, when we last left off, we heard about Lex getting the old stabby in prison, Superman being unable to hear it because of the whole issue with Silver Banshee. Then we also found out about a really fun story with the lives of people that work at the Daily Planet, a very sort of Gotham Central approach to the Daily Planet, which I would like to see more of. Maybe I will read Greg Rucka's Lois Lane. I don't know. It's hard to tell. Like, those really clever progressive writers really sort of lost their mind in 2016, and I just thought it best to enjoy Greg Rucka as I knew him best. But either way, it's not like I know Greg Rucka. So anyway, we go into this one here, and it's important to note that Superman is not in the best of moods following the stabby of Lex Luthor. Why? Because, well, he doesn't like it. And there's a really cool scene here where I think it sort of echoes exactly how the people of Metropolis feel about this. As he's on his way to be operated on, one of the surgeons says, hey, we could just, not do anything. And Duke gets kicked out, like out of my operating room, alright? We took an oath, we're going to save him. As much as I hate this bastard, granted, to be fair, Lex is like, he's a villain, but he's not the worst. Like, if this were Joker, I think everyone would take a moment like, do we really need to do this? Do we? Like, do we really? But Lex, nah. Like, he doesn't break out. But whatever. So anyway, they operate on him. Superman is sort of frustrated because, hey, he dropped the ball. Even though he couldn't, there was no way he could have known that Lex was going to get stabbed. He still puts himself on because, hey, if it turns out that this farm and Grant were doing something with Silver Banshee, then maybe the consequence of him losing his super hearing for a bit was what led to, him getting stabbed. Like, they knew it would happen. So Superman's been played for a fool. And someone's been hurt and might die for it. So anyway, Superman's pretty much on edge a bit. He's like, I'm in no mood. Going through, no fun, no smiles, just drop him off at the prison. Even the police were like, is he alright? Alright's a strong word. But, they go through. Lois, meanwhile, is sort of really dealing with the fact of what it means to be editor-in-chief. In the same way that one is a manager, there's the job you do as manager, and the fact that all those other people beneath you, that, also work, will also going to need you. You're going to have to help them with their jobs. So it's a whole process. By default, she has to edit work. She has to approve newspaper job, approve budgets and whatnot. And she's like, oh my god, I kind of hate it here. She's like, I can do this. Clark, meanwhile, is not in the right headspace because he's having trouble writing about the stabbing of Lex Luthor, which makes sense. Even if you take away the fact that he is Superman, Clark also has a history with Lex. Like a really, really weird, stressed out history with Lex, especially that period when he was president. So anyway, he wants to know more about Project Unchained, and Lois is like, well, you don't have to ask Lex. Like, it's at Lex's company, the company he gave to you, which he called Supercore. So if you want to know about a project Lex did, go to Supercore. So, yeah, she goes down to Supercore and sees Mercy. Good guess. Anyway, I am weak, and I'm alright with that today. Mercy talks about how she doesn't know about it, but it also, again, raises the question, what do you know? Like, she is Lex's right-hand man, alright? Like in terms of sidekick power, or like assistant power, she's right up there with Alfred in terms of what she knows. So why doesn't she know? And she never really talks about it. It's like, yeah, I know, whatever. I ain't saying nothing. She probably doesn't. Like there's probably like an agreement. Like, look, Lex, I don't want to know names. I don't want to know where anything's buried. Just tell me what you need done and go from there. That might be their dynamic. But she does believe in Lex, so who knows? So she goes like, well, there is a way to find out about Project Unchained, and that's to go to the... Lex took the Jor-El, like, the hologram of Jor-El that talks to Superman. He refashioned one in the style of him. And acts like, okay, fine, what is Project Unchained? So Project Unchained was a prison, a little solitary confinement prison that Lex had developed with the help from people, from strikers, pretty much for metahumans. Alright, the whole point is to use their powers, the energy they radiate against them to help create the prison and deprive them of anything from their five senses. So it's essentially the ultimate solitary confinement. He wants to know, hey, has there ever been a prisoner in there? Has it ever been used? Like, yeah, one, and I don't know who it is, so you have to go down there and find it. So they figure out where it is, go down there, and Superman contemplates how this is like the Phantom Zone, a prison that Superman has had to use, but he used it on the gravest of circumstances. Zod, Cyborg Superman, Doomsday sometimes, you're really bad ones. Also the fact there's numerous prisoners in there to begin with. So, they find it. It reminds me of a bit of the Pandorica from the 11th Darkness era, as well as the prison Missy was in with the 12th Darkness era. But anyway, they open up the old prison, courtesy of Mercy, and they see a man chained up. Well, look, chained. Look at that. And Superman goes on like, hey, buddy, I know you can't see, hear, feel, or smell anything, but I'm talking to you, letting you know. So I'm going to open up. And as it opens up, Lex starts to come out of surgery, starts to wake up, and it's like, this probably isn't a good idea. So he comes out, and he looks like a Dark Knight Returns version of Doc Ock. The chains definitely don't help. So he's like, Lex Luthor, why did you say that name? I hate Lex Luthor, like most people in Metropolis. So he gets out, Superman tries to stop him, but the prison apparently reacts to Superman. I believe the prisoner's probably able to do that, grabs him, and he flies off. And Mercy's like, so the only person who can probably get you out of there is either the dude that just flew away, or Lex. And as he looks over Metropolis, he says, Lex loves Metropolis. I'm going to destroy Metropolis, and then I'm going to kill Lex. Lex fully comes out like, oh my god, Superman, what did you do? And that's how the comic ends. Ultimately, leaving the annual, I think this is a great way to start this story up again. The Chained Part 1. Is it Project Chained or Project Unchained? Let's call it Project Chained for now. I like the sort of Daily Planet. Like I said, I love the Daily Planet back and forth here. To me, that was fun. That was where the magic was at. Mercy. Always Mercy. She was great. I didn't really like what happened to her in Lazarus Planet. The fact that, hey, I have these techno powers. Here, they're at least serving a purpose. Points to Josh Williamson for agreeing to keep this idea going. Like, we complained a bit about Lazarus Planet because it felt like an event for the sake of an event, but they are trying to incorporate that event. Because one thing fans and readers hate alike is events that don't go anywhere. Like, hey, this happened, alright, what does that mean? Nothing important. But so far, something's happening. Overall, though, really fun. Looking forward to seeing where this goes from here, as well as who that mysterious Doc Ock in Dark Knight Returns character is. We shall call him Otto until further notice. Next is Batman White Knight Presents Generation Joker. This is what? Issue 5. Alright, it's a 6-issue event, so we're almost there, folks. So when we last left off with this story, Marion and Harley were able to save Jackie and Bryce and Jack from their stupid decision of going out and hanging out with Joker's gang. And apparently Marion needs Jack/Joker for something involving whatever project he was working on, which was apparently a way to bring people back to life. So anyway, we start off with a flashback of the events of Curse of the White Knight, or a scene from the time period of Curse of the White Knight, when John Paul Valley breaks Joker out, and he also shoots Marion, because, yeah, he has no patience for the old Harley, which is actually the second Harley. Because remember, in the White Knight universe, Harleen Quinzel was Harley for a bit. Then after what happened with Jason, she left the Joker, and then in Joker's addled state, he just found the next crazy girl and didn't even realize she'd been replaced. But anyway, as she's laying out dying, Pamela comes to save her and takes her out of Arkham Asylum. So here we are in the present day, coming off to, I guess, what is Joker's old hunting grounds. And the question is exactly what project is it that Joker was working on, and Jackson's very set on this not being a thing. Like, we shouldn't go to this, we should not discuss it, it's just best to leave it buried in the past. In other words, Jack seems to imply this was a really bad idea or was very dangerous. Marion doesn't want to hear it, and we find out after a scuffle why. But anyway, we then cut to where Harleen was, and Harleen being, brought in by Agent Prince, like, hey, so, that was stupid, what you did. So now your kids are still missing, and now she's off with a dangerous criminal from Arkham, Marion, and still hanging around Jack Napier, aka the Joker still. So Harleen goes to the idea, and she was really worried about her kids. Agent Prince's like, look, I promise you will get your kids. She gets called from the superiors. The whole premise is like, okay, look, you don't know where they are, fine. They'll escort you home. If need be, we will arrest you. Actually, no, just take her to the precinct and go from there. Luckily, though, as this goes on, Bruce shows up going, so, chuckleheads, Daddy's here. I got a plan. And Harleen's like, so it's about time you got here. I got something I've been waiting to give you. And it's a beautiful kiss. It's a... Love it. I love it. I've grown to love the ship of Bruce and Harley. Alright? It's weird. I get it. But if you look at it from an animated series perspective, R.I.P. Kevin Conroy, R.I.P. Arlene Sorkin, alright? You will be missed. No, we shall never see your like again. The White Universe sort of presents as a very beautiful story. Like, I've joked the fact that Batman is Harley's bad boy. Like, this is it. Like, she views Joker as a perfect angel. By that logic, Batman is her bad boy. The one that she shouldn't take home to mother. But she should take out home to mother. But anyway, Bruce points out, yeah, you lied. You know where Jackie, Bryce, and Jack and Marion went. You're like, yeah, I do. So I gotta go. You're gonna come with me? He's like, no. Victor and I have to work on something to stop Jack once and for all. So you go there. We'll catch up. All right. So we go from there. Good. It's not a big moment, but it's enough to let us know where all of our players are. So anyway, we cut back to the old, I guess it's amusement mile? Maybe? They're going up to the computer that Joker worked into the merry-go-round. And Jack is still like, you don't want to do this. You don't want to go into this. I can't let you do it. She's like, I'm not asking. And Jack's like, yeah, but I'm not listening. So there's a fight that breaks through, and Poison Ivy comes in and breaks up. Then we find out that she's dying. So this is why Marion wants to do this. Marion wants to save her wife. And so there's something great here. Ivy clearly doesn't want to. He's like, look, I get it, but you can't, all right? Let the kids go. Let them go off and do whatever, all right? And let's just enjoy what time I have left together. Marion's not able to deal with that. And Jackie, who's been all over the place this book, says, like, hey, we have to do it, all right? And, like, they deserve a chance, so he pulls a switch. We find exactly what the secret is, what was Joker creating, and that's when Jack goes, this wasn't the Joker, this was Jack. And we find what looks to be an iron lung? That's not a lung. It's definitely a mech suit. It looks a bit like the suit that Martha Wayne had in Death Metal. But anyway, they found exactly what was in there, what Joker was working on, who Joker was working on. Harvey Dent. Like, no matter what, Harvey has to suffer. And that's how the comic ends. Ultimately, Generation Joker has been the weakest of the White Knight universe stories. That includes the solo tie-ins with Robin, with Jason, with Freeze, even Curse of the White Knight, which wasn't that well received. But the problem with this story is really just, I'm not that dear to these kids. Like, I don't care about Jackie and Bryce. And I think that's the weak point of the Murphyverse, is that this new generation doesn't have any of that history that makes any of this significant. Like those cool shadows of what's usually Batman. When you see Batman, Joker, and Harley, or as you see Bruce in his normal day-to-day face. You see Harleen in her normal everyday face. Jack Napier, you see the shadows. It's them. It's the people we know them as. We know why they're all talking to each other. The mystery of Jack Napier is only slightly interesting in terms of who he's playing off of. Here, finding out that Jack did a messed up thing, well, we already knew Jack would do messed up things, courtesy of Batman White Knight to begin with, so, it is what it is. To me, the heart of the story is still Bruce and Harley. Seeing those two, Bruce and Harleen, seeing those two interact has always been the best part of this story so far, in a post-White Knight story. Overall, though, I think what will really judge this story, whether it was good or bad, will be issue 6, the conclusion of this, and we'll see exactly where we go. And finally, we have Wonder Woman, written by Tom King. So, as of this book coming out, as of his announcement of this book coming out, Tom King has now written for the entire Trinity. He had his Batman run, which we covered in our comic run talk. He did a Superman story, not shortly after that, but like in the middle of, I think it was like a year and a half ago, maybe longer. And now he's on Wonder Woman, so he's written for the Trinity. And as we said, Tom King is a very prolific writer. It's either you love him or you hate him. I think he has more losses than he has wins in my mind. Even his Batman run, which I like, ish. Like, I'll admit I probably like more of his Batman run than I dislike about it. But I think he made a bunch of choices that didn't work well for the character. And every time he tends to go back to the Batman pool, I don't think it does as good a job as he thinks it does. He tends to really like to just throw in dialogue and dialogue and dialogue. He wants to throw in poems. He wants everything to mean something, and he likes to deconstruct his characters. And the problem is, he breaks them down, but he doesn't really build them back up. So he does half of Scott Snyder's job. So when I think of great Scott Snyder, I think of Court of Owls, which everyone does. Everyone says, even his biggest detractors love the Court of Owls. But what works for Court of Owls for me is the fact that we broke Batman mentally, the fact he was afraid to go back into the cave, but then we built him back up. Every time Scott Snyder took Batman down, he was always sure to build him back up. Not going, well, we'll leave it for other writers. Tom King really spent time breaking Batman down. And sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. One of I think his best lines was, "I'm not Batman because it makes me happy, I'm Batman because I'm Batman." As if to say, this is the best I can do with who I am. Alright? And some days it works, some days it doesn't. Which led to him marrying Catwoman, or attempting to marry Catwoman. But Tom King's good stuff tends to be with obscure characters. Mr. Miracle, Adam Strange. He should not do Hawkman. Human Target, from what I've heard. Danger Street's apparently really good. Gotham Year One. Those things are great. He tends to have a very hit or miss approach with Batman. Maybe it's just not his character. His Riddler One Bad Day story was, I think it was the closest in line to the spirit of One Bad Day, or The Killing Joke, which is what the whole line was based off of. So there's points to that, but it just always bogs down. Like, he always feels he has so much to say. Like, I didn't just ramble on. Anyway, let's get back to this book. Okay, so our story starts off with what appears to be, an altercation in a bar with an Amazon killing a man. Now, let's assume he's not dead. Although, considering the fact that the pool table is definitely broken, he probably is dead. This was over, the gentleman here does not know how to respect the boundaries of other women. And let's be clear, if you need to rough someone up to get them to stop touching people, yeah, go ahead and do it. Go ahead and do it. If he's not going to take the hint, alright, which is more likely, hey, stop touching people, why you grow up, also, by default, if you've been broke, ladies, yeah, knock him out. Alright, knock him out. If it turns out he didn't, apologize, and go on from there. Alright? But, this is just really stupid. Not this particular altercation. I think this clear murder is the problem. What the problem is then is that because it's a bar, a big cliche in a bar is, hey, you hit one guy, well, everyone else has got to fight. So yeah, 19 men are killed in this bar. And I say men because the story emphasized that only 19 men were killed. Only the men were killed. The women that were in the bar were fine. Okay, weird. So now the media is calling this a terrorist attack, a war on men, and while Tom King was in the CIA, I am not, so maybe I don't have a proper understanding of what a terrorist attack would constitute as, because to me, if it's not political in nature, then I don't quite see how it's a terrorist attack. There's also talk about the number of people that died to make it a terrorist attack, or at least was it a massacre? One of those two. 19 probably does fit that bill, but the whole point is it's not political in nature, and this is just an Amazon. Like, if it was the Amazonian ambassador, you could probably definitely call it a terrorist attack. But again, this bar doesn't seem to be of any political nature. It's not I don't get it. But anyway, so they call it tragedy in West Billings, new details released. So we're finding out more and more and more about this. Primarily, an Amazon did it. And the government seems to respond to, well, they call Sergeant Steele. Sergeant Steele, who I found out is not an old DC character, well, kind of old. He debuted in '87, um, in I think Legends issue 3. I don't know anything else about him other than he works for the government and he dislikes Amanda Waller. First of all, disliking Amanda Waller is a totally valid take. All right, Amanda Waller is not a good person. All right, that should say something about you if you draw the line at Amanda Waller. But anyway, he's been called to deal with the Amazons. What's going on? Well, the government has decided that in light of this, to deport the Amazons. But what we really get here is a nice little back and forth of exactly what the public perception is as to what happened. Because if you have a problem with the Amazons, then you have to discuss Wonder Woman. So they talk to a father and daughter. Daughter's like, yeah, I love Wonder Woman. I wore a costume. I went to party. Wonder Woman, lasso of truth. And he's like, yeah, I like Wonder Woman. My daughter, she likes Wonder Woman. But this right here was an attack on man. And I don't want my daughter following that. Now, to be fair, I think in context, if you are viewing this as an attack from the Amazons, a preemptive attack, and Diana hasn't said anything about it, it does seem a bit suspicious. Alright? The problem is, I don't quite get where we're going with this. This is more like, what's the approach to the boots on the ground? The kids know, did Wonder Woman do that? Then Wonder Woman's not involved. See how that works? It's simple, but pretty straightforward. But again, the government has decided to deport the Amazons. Alright? They have to go back to Themyscira, which also means separating their families. I.e., the children that were born, or the children that these Amazons have more likely adopted, because I think, with the exception of Diana, every other Amazon is by default only interested in women, which is to me weird. I'm not saying if Diana can do it, so can the other ones, and I just want that more variety. I want to see how Themyscira reacts to women who aren't Wonder Woman dating men. I want to see that. But anyway, so they go through. The Amazons and their partners have tried to, appeal this, hey, this is wrong, and go from there. But because they're Amazons and apparently are stupid, they decide to charge the government. Now, I get it, this is a bad situation, but that just makes things worse. Now, even if they're in the wrong, because they haven't actually, because the agents haven't actually attacked anyone or pulled anyone out, an unlawful thing. If the whole deal that they can't do it, if she attacks them, they can now claim self-defense. She's running at them with a shield and a sword and going for paradise, whatever. So she gets shot, dead. The president, is that the president? He looks like a chump, though. Alright? He's got that. Also, they didn't give an actual president. This is no real-world president, which DC and Marvel both don't do. Marvel's a bit more coy about it. In Civil War 2, the silhouette's clearly Obama. But anyway, so begins the deportations, the separation of families going on, and everyone's sort of wondering, where's Wonder Woman? Meanwhile, Nubia, the queen of the Amazons, and oh my, is wondering where Wonder Woman is. The agent, the person who went to find Wonder Woman, said, I found Wonder Woman. She's saying she's not coming back. Nubia gave orders that, hey, all Amazons are to come back to Themyscira while we figure out what's going on. So, what is Nubia's plan here? Is it to be hey, is she involved in what we consider a terrorist attack? Or is she hey, this is getting hot, everybody just come back here and we'll figure out what to do going forward. Alright? Makes a degree of sense. The question is, should we then take the kids too? I don't know. So anyway, she also reveals that Diana surrendered her sword to her, hey, she's apparently going to do something, and she doesn't want to be tempted any further. I'm okay, so Diana's doing something. And then, we then cut to a cemetery where these snipers see an Amazon, alright, take the shot. They go shoot, and Diana's "Ta! You thought," and she goes in, she gives the old Amazonian 1, 2, 3. Alright, and this is also where Tom King points out that Wonder Woman is the best fighter in the DC Universe. Now, that could be up for debate. Diana's breadth of experience varies from writer to writer if they want to address, how old she has canonically understood to be. But most people forget that Diana also is the daughter of Zeus. Alright, not saying that comes with any buffs or anything, but that also is important to her history. When New 52 rebooted her, we never quite knew exactly how old she was. Because time doesn't really pass the same way on Themyscira as it does everywhere else. So who knows? Diana could actually be the exact age of Batman and Superman. Or she could be older. She could possibly be younger. Who knows? But anyway, she goes through, gives her the business. Sergeant Steele tries to go, you attacked, and you attacked is unprovoked. Diana goes, that is totally not what happened. You shot me. And as a matter of fact, here's the assassin. He's like, hey, my last of truth. Tell him what happened. Yeah, dude, we totally started this. We are the aggressors here. But Diana says something that I was great. Outside the fact this dude called her a C word, cunt, and she's like, that's a word you use to demean women. I'm like, to be fair, most people that use that word will call both men and women that. So anyway, she talks about the Amazonian that was behind all this, Emily, or at least Emile. I think it's Emily. And she's like, hey, no one bothered to look for her. No one tried to figure out where she was. So yeah, I'm going to find her and figure out what's going on. So which means, by default, what we all were hoping, Themysciro's clearly not involved in this. Well, Diana's not involved in this. She's been trying to find Emily. I'm going to call her Emily until further notice. So meanwhile, the news comes out that Diana attacked federal agents, which isn't what happened, but whatever. Diana's talking to Steve, brazenly walking through D.C., so I guess it's not that big a deal. Because Diana is tall. She's probably, maybe 6'5"? I think if you're trying to go for accuracy, she'd be like 6'5". Maybe 7, but who knows? She's talking to Steve. Steve talks about Sergeant Steele, like, yeah, he just follows orders. Goes from there, and Steve points out that he'll be in big trouble if he's found even talking to her, which is kind of sort of, okay, makes sense. But anyway, this is where the story gets even dumber, alright? So, it turns out this has all presumably been a ploy by the real power of America. Those who were there before the founding fathers, before 1776. The power has been controlling the country from behind the scenes for over 200 years. And using the lasso of lies. I don't know what the dude's name is. What's this? Oh, it is called the lasso of lies. So this apparently is the king. The king of America. Alright, America doesn't have a king, but, well, not that you know of, because look, the whole red, white, and blue clothes, the eagle atop, should have been a turkey. You should listen to Ben Franklin. And the crown, like, okay, I get it. Crotch the old white man is actually behind everything. Alright, is it supposed to look like Jeff Bezos? I don't know. And that's how the comic ends. So, the logic of the story kills the story. I feel like, so, in interviews, he has talked about going through and reading older Wonder Woman, Marston's run, and I don't quite, and as someone who hasn't read old Wonder Woman, I'm not going to claim that I know that, but it really feels like, despite that, he just read Amazon's Attack. Alright, unless I'm wrong, if someone can point out the actual, significance here that Tom King didn't kind of crap on this, or at least he just took a bad idea from a Wonder Woman story and ran with it, because this is basically Amazon's Attack. Alright? Amazon did a thing, Diana's nowhere to be found for a while, then people wondering what side Diana's on, and go from there. The difference is, he has decided to apply this to a sort of quasi, I'm going to say it just because it sounds cringe, a leftist SJW woke perspective, although really probably not. It's not like Hawkgirl. Like Hawkgirl was kind of that. This one here seems to take, you can argue with the perspective that the Amazons are to represent immigrants, and after this one thing happens, the government decides to get rid of all the immigrants, send them away. Who knows? If that's the direction you want to take, issue 1, I can see that argument. Is it valid? I don't know. I would like to think no, because I don't think Tom King is that stupid. I think Tom King's issues is he's pretentious. Alright? And he's not suited for long-form stories. But I would say the story is stupid. Because the logic is, instead of actually trying to figure out the cause of something, what happened, we then decide to jump off all the rails and just go, well, let's deport him. This was an attack on men. Hey, this Amazon could have hated men. It's not uncommon. Alright? Misandry is a thing. Violent misandry is a thing. Hashtag kill all men was a thing. So, we can go with that route. But at the same time, the logic here is, so this woman is in the bar, sees some dudes not respecting women's boundaries, like putting their hands on them. She breaks it up. Let's, again, be generous and say she doesn't kill that dude. Alright? And then, some other dudes at the bar decide to, again, recreate that cliche. Well, let's rough her up. She kills only the women. Um, only the men. Only the men. Ooh, about to change everything. Only the men. And everyone thinks it's a terrorist attack. My question is, did no one see where she went afterwards? Did no one see where she went? So as an Amazon, she'd probably be tall for a woman. Maybe not ridiculously tall, but tall. She was wearing a black coat, an Amazonian armor. So weird she was wearing that. Presumably she's dressed like Wonder Woman in that pants era. So no one saw where she went. No one saw, hey, I saw the Amazon lady. She went that way. She went down the street. She flew away. Something. So no one's been investigating this. Why does Diana seem to be the only one who's interested in finding that out? You could say that is sort of how it goes, that this huge event, the media wants to push this narrative, all right, to get people watching. The government just wants to clean it up so everything looks fine and look like they're in control. So you could argue there is an interesting story here. The problem is everyone just comes off so stupid that it doesn't work. Like, by default, an Amazon has killed almost 20 people at a bar, all right, and no one seems to really know what happened. So this does seem like a slaughter. It does seem like an attack on men. Diana, as an Amazon, as sometimes a representative for Themyscira, she could have gone up and said, hey, she could have gone to the president, gone to anybody and says, hey, so Themyscira has made no plans to attack anyone on U.S. soil. This is clearly a rogue element, and if this actually is an Amazon, we will bring him in. The Justice League, Batman, Superman, and I are investigating this. We take this very seriously, and we go from there. All right? But we have to dramatize this up a bit, just like Amazon's attacked it. Hey, where's Diana? Where's Diana? Oh, here's Diana. Okay, weird. The whole ancient conspiracy thing here, Court of Owls did it, so, whatever. I think Superman's had it done too with the Invisible Mafia. So it's not uncommon. My problem is, though, this just seems so... It sacrifices a lot of credibility from everyone in the story to go with this. And again, I think I just described, what the story is actually trying to do. It's a commentary on the media. It's a commentary on politics. It's a commentary on how people feel about these sort of attacks. I mean, so when only a specific group of people is killed, it's hard to imagine that specific group of people wouldn't be like, well, this feels like an attack. All right, but I think we're supposed to believe it's all ridiculous because, like, well, it was an attack on men, and even money, it was all white men. But whatever. This is apparently all about to lead to the birth of Trinity, Diana's daughter. All right, which is weird because nothing about the story says is Diana's daughter or anything. I don't know. I don't care. But I am going to give this... What here? Tom King's written... He tends to do a good 6 issues. So we'll get to 6 issues, see what we feel about it, and then we'll figure out whether or not we want to drop this. But Tom King may just be pointing out another problem that's been had. Out of the Trinity, Wonder Woman has the worst record since New 52 about having actual captivating stories. So when New 52 started, they changed her origin to make her that she was no longer made from clay. She's the daughter of Zeus. And then we had a sort of story sort of exploring that, seeing her other half-siblings from Zeus. Then Meredith Finch takes over and she explores her new role as the goddess of war, which should have been a really interesting story. Then at the same time she was dating Superman, which was just stupid. Then DC Rebirth happened, picking up where with the idea that Wonder Woman's life has been a lie. The really only lie was that she hadn't been to Themyscira since she left it. Alright, she's still the daughter of Zeus. Then she has a brother. That brother went off somewhere. Darkseid came back, by the way, in Wonder Woman's book. Like, the whole events of Darkseid War technically end in Wonder Woman's book, and no one talks about it. No one talks about it. Then it just sort of goes on. Like, nothing exciting happens in Wonder Woman books, but exciting things happen in Batman and Superman's books. I'm trying to figure out why we can't approach that same thing. I think it's because Wonder Woman is sort of like smoke in DC. Like, you can see her, but you can't really grasp what her form is. Like, you can't really sort of contort it some ways. I blame Greg Rucka, not because he wrote a bad Wonder Woman run. The fact that he didn't stay on to write. He should have gone for 40... Actually, he should have stayed 40 issues. Like, I respect his decision to leave. Like, hey, I have a right relationship with DC. Let's do these stories and then get out while the getting's good, while everybody's still cool with everybody. So who knows? But anyway, let's see where this goes. What leads to Trinity? How we're going to figure out Emily, E. There we go. Sergeant Steele is definitely going to make this personal. So, yeah, let's see what happens. So, anyway, with that in mind, if you are new to the Bucket Think Tank, feel free to like, comment, share, subscribe. Check out some other videos, smash the thumbs up button. I will catch you all later. This is Bugger Think Tank signing off. Thanks for watching. As always, may your fandom serve you.